Donkey Kong Country Returns HD has finally been released for the Nintendo Switch, but is it any good? Let's take a look. Regarded as one of the Wii's best platformers, Donkey Kong Country Returns was originally released back in 2010 and later on a 3DS in 2013. This will mark the third time Donkey Kong has had a re-release for the Switch's lifespan. In this game, you follow the adventures of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong as they take on the evil Tiki Tak tribe, who have brainwashed the other animals on the island. And to make matters worse, they have even stolen our hero's banana hoard, and they sure are mad about that. The release of this game marks a special moment as we now have the recently released Land series from the Game Boy, and now a complete Country series, combined across the NSO and for individual purchase for the Switch. All that's really needed now is DK64 and Diddy Kong Racing, and we are laughing. Being an HD remaster of an older game, the visuals were always going to be a point of interest. Initially, the reveal trailer felt like something was off, almost like the sharpening of the game took some of the life out of it. Since it has been released though, I'm glad to say the game is most definitely an improvement in terms of looks and vibrancy. The models and textures are sharper and crisper, giving the game a nice updated look for sure. Sadly though, this is most evident at the end of levels or generally anything that has a nice big close-up like a cutscene. The level design was and still is incredibly strong, with a lot of thought put into each section and segments across the 80 levels, creating fun and challenge in each of the game's unique sections. All in all, the game does look good for a remaster. However, I was kind of hoping it would at least look a little closer to Tropical Freeze in terms of detail, given that a few years have passed since that game was brought over to the Switch, but it isn't that big of a problem. One thing I did pick up on is some of the loading times were noticeably a little bit longer in places, but nothing that's going to make you switch the game off, and if you didn't play the original, you probably wouldn't notice anyway. You'll also be pleased to know that this version of the game runs at 1080p docked and 720p in handheld mode, whilst running at a very nice 60 FPS just like the Wii version. I'm glad to say the soundtrack remains intact with the solid work from Kenji Yamamoto, who keeps things close to the original themes and textures. This works very well and provides a vintage feeling of the original games. Sadly, David Wise was missing from this game and it can be felt a little from time to time, but at least he was able to come back for Tropical Freeze. This game is a 2D platformer, pure and simple. You work your way across the levels, collecting an assortment of such things like Kong letters and puzzle pieces to name a few, and attacking or avoiding enemies along your way until you reach the finish line at the end. You can jump, pound, climb, and even ride vehicles such as rocket barrels, minecarts, and Rambi the Rhino in certain parts of the game. You don't just get to play as Donkey Kong, the ever faithful Diddy Kong is here too, and when he is in play, you have more health points and the ability to stay airborne longer utilizing Diddy's jetpack and much more. There is even an option where you can play two-player co-op, which definitely adds another level of fun into the game and is particularly great for playing with younger people. If you're one of those people who didn't play the original or any of the other games in the series, Donkey Kong can be a pretty tough game with a little bit of difficulty, which is totally intentional. It actually felt great to fail at some parts in my playthrough. The good news for new players though is the game includes something called Modern Mode, which offers players more health points as well as extra storage for items, those of which can be purchased from Cranky Kong's shop. You can choose this option at the start of a brand new game, but you won't be able to change it after that. As an added extra, the Switch version features levels that were included on the 3DS game, which is a nice touch too for the whole package. A change from the original game is the addition of standard controls. For example, before you would need to shake the Wiimote to have DK hit the ground to attack enemies or activate things. Now all you have to do is press a button instead. Now don't get me wrong, I always loved the motion controls and found it amusing, but the change is a welcome one for the Switch remaster. The time it takes to complete can vary based on how you play. On average, it takes about 8 to 10 hours to finish the main storyline. If you're aiming to uncover all the secrets and achieve 100% completion, you might be looking at around 15 to 20 hours of gameplay. Your own personal mileage will vary, of course. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is a great game, no question, and definitely one to play if you haven't. The HD remaster simply does exactly what it does and brings a sharper and clearer version of the classic game to the Switch, making it much more accessible and marking it as the definitive version of this game in my opinion. It's alright to say Tropical Freeze is still the better and stronger game, but as mentioned before, the game was one of the best platformers back in the day and still holds very well now. Even though I am very favourable with the game and I love the original to bits, the price of this game isn't the best unfortunately. I feel that it could be a tad lower for what is actually being offered. The only real new things added to the remaster apart from the HD upgrade is an easy mode, updated controls, and the levels from the 3DS version, and while these are all decent additions in their own right, many would probably consider this game a port rather than a remaster, and the current price tag just doesn't justify it, sadly. If you haven't played this game before and are happy to pay the price tag, I would say the game is worth it, but keeping an eye out for a price drop or a sale would be advisable. If you have played the game before and are looking for an amazing updated experience of what you remember back on the Wii, then I would seriously consider waiting for a price drop or a sale for it. I hope the pricing won't affect sales too badly, as I really want Donkey Kong to succeed, and would love to see him in a brand new adventure on the Switch 2 at some point, so we'll have to see how we go. But for now, thanks for watching. If you like my content, be sure to like, subscribe and all that stuff, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.